Welcome to Teaching Orchestra. In Tuesday's video, I talked about anchor notes, and I showed you how to teach about 80% of the eighth notes in Winter Solstice. And in my last video on fundamental patterns, I showed an efficient way on how to get another 15%. So what about the last 5%? These are the parts that only really show up once or maybe twice, and they're only in one instrument. What some directors do, and I do this myself, so I don't blame them, is stop the orchestra and just work on those spots with the individual section just to make sure that we isolate the parts. And then what does everybody else do in orchestra? They have to sit. And in my teaching companion, which is available on teachingorchestra.com, I have everything written out for all the instruments when they share material, but not these spots. Why not? Because it's not practical to learn them for all four instruments, and there's plenty of other stuff to learn. It's just not going to happen. So yes, you can rework them, you can rewrite it, you can do whatever, but I think there's better ways for your students to learn. So number one, sectionals. Sectionals are a great way to have your students work out these little areas. And if you're doing a lot of concert music at this level of like Winter Solstice or above, you may want to start incorporating sectionals into your orchestra program if you're interested in starting sectionals and you want them to be student-led because you've only got so many hours in the day. I offer a section leader training course on my website, teachingorchestra.com, which is an 8-week program that will give your students all the tools they need to communicate effectively, understand others, develop leadership through service, and give them some tools on how to prepare a sectional, like writing a mini lesson plan, or at the very least, having a game plan for what to work on and how to work on it. And if that's not for you, and I only require sectionals for some of my students, not every student in my orchestra is required to go to sectionals, like in the lower group, it's optional. But most of the time in that group, we have to get everything done in class. And I'm also realistic, and I don't expect them to learn everything through practice on their own. I have a little bit of accountability built into that class, and for more information on accountability, you can watch Season 3, Episode 4 if you want to learn about formative assessment and how to use it as an accountability tool. You can go there. But in this video, I'm going to make a case for unstructured practice for the students who aren't as motivated, don't have time for sectionals because they have other interests like sports and whatever, and they like to play in your orchestra, and they'll play in your orchestra as long as you let them and you don't push them beyond what they can do with their time. And I'm a believer that there's a place for every student in my orchestra, and unfortunately that means that I have some students who aren't going to practice at home, and they still need to practice. And I give them a little bit of class time to practice, and not all the time, not every day, but every once in a while, I'll give them 5 to 10 minutes of class time. And basically what I do, and I do this at the beginning of the rehearsal, not at the end, just after we tune and do warm-ups and do some technique, I give them about 5 to 10 minutes to pick a spot, and I say, okay, pick a measure that you aren't comfortable with and only practice that one measure slowly. And I give them time to practice, and I give them some accountability to make sure that they're on task and they're not just on their phone with their classmates who play circles around them, because they're actually putting in the time. And the reason why I do this at the beginning of class is because they tend to be more motivated at the beginning of class and more focused. Now, you can use this 5 to 10 minutes to take a break for yourself. You might need one. You might need time to go refill your water bottle, and if that's what you need, do it. Teaching orchestra is a marathon, not a sprint. So if you need the time, take the time. But if you are feeling like you've got enough energy and you can walk around the room and you can find those students that need your help, you can take a knee and kneel beside them and give them a little mini lesson, or, just be there to support them. Just give them some encouragement to show that you're there for them and say, hey, you're doing better. Nice job. Good work. And some students might not even know where to start. They might just be sitting there, and you say, hey, circle the measure you're going to work on. And they've got the whole piece circled. And then you could say, all right, well, let's pick a spot for you to work on and teach them how to woodshed them. They might need you to do that a time or two before they can start doing it independently. If you do this every once in a while, your students might start practicing at home. Maybe not regularly, but if you show them how to practice and you sit there with them while they practice, they might dig deep and carve out some time a couple days before their performance to get it a little closer to performance ready. You'd be surprised. And if you're using this time for yourself, before you cut them loose to practice, set some accountability. Tell them, after 5 minutes, I'm going to pick 3 people to play a measure for the class. Or if you want a little less pressure for them when they're first trying this, tell them they're going to play for their stand partner, all right? No big deal, right? Usually for my last video, I do a common problems video, but for winter solstice, I live in the real world, and at least I think I do. And let's face it, in reality, winter solstice, all the problems are common problems. So it's a tough grade 2.5. So I hope to see you in my next video.